Hey, what's up, podcast listeners? This episode of Another VO Podcast is sponsored by Headphone. If you're looking for something new to listen to during that long commute to work, that trying workout, or just for funsies, check out Headphone, a premium audio show platform. They've got comedies, romance, and even thrillers and horrors like Dracula and Dark Matter. So check it out at headphone.co.in. Use code AnotherVOPod10 to get 10% off your first month subscription. That's AnotherVOPod10 to get 10% off your first month subscription.
Hey, talkie internet thingy. Yeah, could you find me a voiceover podcast that has more than one person on it? It's not boring and, it's.
There's a lot of VO podcasts out there, sharing a lot of insight and knowledge. But on Another VO Podcast, you get to hear from three guys who are accountability partners and who all have a different story of how their VO careers came together. Do they have all the answers? Probably not. But between the three of them, they've made all the mistakes you don't want to make. And hey, they're really nice guys. Well, pretty much. Here's Jake, Alden, and Troy with another VO Podcast.
Welcome back. It's another VO Podcast. I'm Troy Holden. I'm here with Jake Sanders and Alden.
I was like,
Yeah,
are you like focusing to
on.
make sure you didn't say Alden? I was like looking at you. I was like, is he gonna say
The
Alden?
harder I focus, the worse it will come
Yeah.
out. And I know that.
Alden.
You guys doing okay?
Yeah, dude. I just had breakfast with my aunt and uncle. I like to meet up with them once a month if I can. If they're not traveling, they're both retired, so they do some traveling. I hadn't seen them since June though, but yeah, sorry I was late. But yeah, that was great.
No. That's good stuff. We do the same. We go meet up with Amy's parents at least once a month. Her sister and brother-in-law once a month. We try to go see my mom. So every week there's one person. But yesterday was our day. We had to go to the veterinarian, and we got to go to the Waffle House.
Dude, I love Waffle House. I
do
tell you,
too.
man. So
too.
this was back before like you could buy like assigned seats at movies and stuff like that. But like the midnight showings of like cool, like Harry Potter, the superhero movies. My friends and I would go to all of those, dude, and we'd be showing up at like 8:00, wait, stand in line till 10, and then go and get your seat, sit in your seat for another 2 hours, and then after the movie's over, there was a Waffle House right on the other side of the highway. We'd go there and we'd get waffles, coffee, eggs. I mean, the waiting staff was always interesting because you got some interesting people that work at Waffle House. So getting home at like 4 a.m, it was always great. But yeah.
They the town closest to us is Portland, Tennessee, and it's tiny. It's an industrial town, 10,000-12,000 people, but probably 30,000 workers, coming into Portland all the time. So it's a busy little place during the day. They had just passed a thing, and we didn't have a lot of restaurants, but we recently had gotten a Dairy Queen, a Burger King.
Ooh.
So, we had an Arby's, we had a McDonald's, but Waffle House and KFC had bought a strip of land on one of the main roads, and they were coming in. And I found out last week that the water pressure in the city, we got a terrible water system up on this end of Sumner County. The water system is so bad, they're going to have to spend like $500,000 putting in pumps to get the water pressure up, for it to be a restaurant on that land. And I heard they may back out because of that.
That's
and I thought it would be
man.
so awesome to have Waffle House right here in town. I mean, I could be there in 10 minutes.
Right.
That would be so cool. We have to drive up to Franklin, Kentucky, which is not that bad. But
how about what's that drive from where you're at? Like
to Franklin
minutes?
to the Waffle House, it's 25 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
It's not
okay.
bad.
Okay,
No.
then you're closer than I thought. I'm like,
but we're always passing one, going somewhere else. Gallatin is only about 20 minutes away. They've got a really good one. We go down there a lot, so it works out. I get my waffle when I need it. Hey, I want to ask you guys about something today, and there's a couple things that have bugged me, and this is going to come out of something we dealt with this morning or saw this morning. And the other thing is, I had a good friend of mine I talked to this week, and he had a rough couple of days. And, and it wasn't that he wasn't having a good month. It was just sometimes because we don't get to be around people, or we're maybe not interacting enough in a group, or being on some Zooms with people on a daily or weekly basis, we kind of, get out in left field sometimes. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk a little bit about our VO work ethic. And by work ethic, what I mean is we are juggling auditions, marketing, for us, podcast, multiple podcasts, emails, accounting, social media, the actual work, also peer inquiries. Let me throw that in there.
Oh, that's a good one.
Sure.
Because, there are a lot of people sometimes either sending you a private message or an email or this or that. They're asking questions. They're wanting feedback. They're new. You don't want to be a jerk. You want to try to help people. But sometimes you get to the point, you got to start drawing lines in the sand and, telling them this is as far as I can take you. You need to go get a paid coach. You need to go get this and this. So when it comes to the work ethic, what I'm getting at with all this going on, you get up in the morning, you can be overwhelmed. How do you try to structure your day? What usually happens, that doesn't work out? And how do you recover? What do you look at when, whatever the end of the day is, whether some days it's noon because you have to, maybe you got doctor's appointments, things to do. Maybe some days it's 4:00. Maybe you take a break from 2 to 5 and you come back in at 5:30 after everything calms down and you finish up. How do you handle this ebb and flow? Because there's no boss, there's no supervisor, there's no one telling you what to do. No one sets any expectations for you. You have no work instructions. You have no, what we used to call SOPs, standard operating procedures. You don't have those. So Jake, how do you come into this every morning? How do you make sure it gets done?
Man, that's a good question because it honestly for me it changes every day. Like, look, I know what I need to do every day, right? And I'm gonna give it in the most basic way. I need to audition, and I need to make sure my marketing is going out there, and I need to try to make connections. A couple of things that have helped me lately. I've recently, I think I've told you guys this, I haven't talked about on the pod, a connection I made through direct marketing, earlier this year, sent me an invite to join Alignable, and I got on Alignable just through. Because of the email I used, it allowed me to connect all my contacts I had made through my direct marketing, which ended up being like over 14,000. So that definitely helped me reconnect with some people or at least reach out a second time. And I've made connections that way. But Alignable has this feature saying, if you click on the home, it says connect with 5 people this week. And it'll tell, and like it's like a meter, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I see that every day when I log in, and if it's not full, I go, okay, I'm going to connect with at least one person today, or at least reach out for a connection, tell them about what I do, and that gives me motivation to do that there. Now, my marketing for the most part, my email marketing for the most part is automated. I just have to monitor it, watch for responses, and then I can send more manual stuff that way. So I don't really have to worry about that. But as far as auditions go. I started going to the gym at the beginning of August. So I wake up in the morning, look at my auditions, do whatever I can, if I can, get my girlfriend the stuff she needs to go to work, which is her lunch and breakfast. And then I go to the gym and I'm there for about 2 hours, or it takes me 2 hours to get home from when I leave or whatever. So when I get home, I jump back on auditions again. So I'm always constantly looking for auditions. I'm looking my emails. I'm looking for, the notifications from VDC. I'm looking for 1, 2, 3. If they come in 1, 2, 3, I notice come in the middle of the night. So a lot of the times I'm just doing 1, 2, 3 in the morning before I go to the gym. And then I'll hear once or twice from them in the day, but a lot of times it won't be till the middle of the night. So I'm auditioning for them the next day, but where voices.com, that's coming in throughout the entire day, and I'll just knock those out as they come in. So because my marketing's for the most part automated, and Alignable has that thing for me to see, like reach out to one more person or X amount of people for, this week, that keeps me on track to do that. But to touch on the note you were talking about your buddy earlier this week, like I have those moments too, where auditions will come in and maybe I am a good fit for it, but I'll just kind of feel exhausted and I won't do it. You know what I mean? I've totally deleted auditions. I know that I don't want to say I probably would have booked, but at least maybe shortlisted for, but It's just like, you have to be in the right mood. So something I do is I take a lunch break and I do something I enjoy. Like, for instance, like, there's that new Star Wars show, Ahsoka, that comes out. I go and make my lunch. I sit down and I watch an episode of that. And once that's done, I get back to the grind. But I allow myself to step out of my office. I don't go in there during my lunch break. I take a lunch break and I take appropriate breaks. You know what I mean? Like sure, sometimes I might have errands I need to run. So maybe my day ends earlier. But at the same time, it's like those little breaks allow me to just get out of the booth and just be away from it for a minute. Like if you had a normal office job, you take it and you have to take 30 minutes to an hour for lunch. You don't sit at your desk most of the time, right? Like you go and sit in the break room. You go and grab a bite to eat somewhere else. You go sit outside. You do something like that. That's what we need to do. I mean, like, again, we talk about treating this like a business. This is a business. And for your work hours, whatever you set for yourself, get out of your business. You know what I mean? Get out of your business.
Right.
And
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Makes sense. And it's, you know, I like to use the term time blocks, you know, because I know I might need an hour. I can tell in the morning, I don't know what's going to come in, but a lot of times what comes in for me, it seems like late in the afternoon, people are sending stuff, my direct clients. I might get an outdoor TV narration. I might get some sermon bumpers. I might get something else. So I think, okay, tomorrow it's going to take me about an hour to do that. And I'm going to do that between 12 and 1 because when I get up in the morning, and you guys may not deal with this as much, there are some mornings I get up, I'm just like throat closed. And it's just allergies and stuff. So I've got to wait till that clears. You know, I can do some auditions. I'm going to have to stop and do some coughing and hacking and carrying on. It just happens. And I know it sounds gross, but it is what it is. I try to get in the habit of during the winter or late fall and winter, I'll vaporize. I've got this vapor machine and I'll do that before I come down here because it really helps. It moisturizes, helps take care of that. But this time of year, I typically don't have to have it. But it seems like it's starting early. I don't know what it is. So, you know, I know there's a couple of things I have to time block. I got to build that hour in there for that. And I need to build in another hour for possibly marketing and social media. And then I may need another hour, you know, if we're doing a podcast or whatever. Now, I will say, and we're using the term work ethic and we're talking about making sure you're doing it. Do you have are you in some structure to where you're holding up and you're getting those things done and you're doing them the right way and you're being ethical to yourself to get them done. The one thing that has helped me a ton is Calendly. Because I do have to schedule podcasts with outside people sometime. Right. I do occasionally have somebody say, well, I want to schedule 30 minutes and talk to you about the voiceover business. Okay, here's my link. Go on there and do that. And so I have that intertwined with my Google Calendar and my Outlook calendar, and they all read each other and I know what's going on. And it's, you know, that's one way you can keep up with it. So let's move on to Mr. Schoenberg.
Hey.
I won't even call him by his first name anymore.
Yeah, it's like you're scared to now.
Yeah,
come on.
I am.
Alden.
I know it's all. I know.
Well,
it's all.
What's the deal? It's super.
He's all I ever wanted in a VO.
Yeah, there you go.
So. Wow, I may have just branded him and didn't know it.
Alden Schoenberg. Oh,
I'll
ever want
it.
in a VO.
I'll take all the branding I can get.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, what about your routines to make sure you're doing the things for yourself? And like I said, that's where I'm looking at is ethics. We got to be ethical.
Yeah.
Us.
You've got to be a self-starter. You have to be a self-starter. You can't just sit and think about what you want to do. There's a psychology that goes on when you think about what you're going to do, and then you feel like you've done something, but you haven't, right?
So that works for me every day.
You talk about what you're going to do, you think about what you're going to do, and you feel satisfied. Oh, okay, I did good. No, you have to be a self-starter. You have to go do the thing. And I don't block hours like that, Troy. I like that. I think that's great. That's not what works for me. I have to set a number. I have to set a goal each day.
And, like auditions of what?
Like to hit a mark at a certain, like I've been messaging you guys over the last couple weeks as we've kind of kept each other up on auditions, and I'm trying to do 9 by noon. You've probably seen that little language I've been using, 9 by noon. I did 9 by noon. It has a nice little ring to it, but also it gives me a goal to find 9 auditions by noon that are in or close to what I'm good at, and get those knocked out. It is tough for my voice style. I've got a lower voice. I've got a deeper grit. And if I'm not hydrated well, I wake up in the morning, I don't sound very good.
Even deeper.
And I find, though, that eating something, drinking coffee kind of gets everything functioning. Yeah. You know, I may call one of my brothers and talk to them in the morning, or just to get my voice because there's nobody else around here to talk to.
Sing, man.
Yeah,
sing.
hey, that's a good idea. It does
work.
Haven't gone with that one yet.
There's another one I saw the other day. It's called the vowel howl. I think that's what they call it. So you're doing your vowels, A-E-I-O-U, very exaggerated and very loud, and you hold it. A-E-I-O. And it stretches your throat, it stretches your mouth, and it does make a huge difference. It does.
Those are great for warming up the voice. But the reason I call or talk, and I tell one of my brothers, I tell him exactly what I'm doing. Here's why I'm calling you, because I need to talk to somebody. I need to get into the frame of mind of just conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can warm up your voice with the exercises, but that doesn't put you in the conversational mindset. And so it takes a little bit of doing. Sometimes, hey, I'll go listen to one of our podcasts. Oh, that's what I sound like when I'm just talking. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And that has been a good tool for me. I mean, I pop that thing in if I'm going to play disc golf, if I'm going to drive to go play disc golf or something. Because typically if I'm driving, unless it's my home course, I'm driving at least, 50 minutes. So I got time to listen to an episode. So, and that is, like you said, a great thing to do is listen to how you sound when you're just talking.
Right.
So that's a goal I set, is to try to get so many auditions in by a certain time of the day. And then the rest of the day, I can be a little more picky, because I feel like I've gotten some time in. I've put some bulk out there, and then I can be a little more picky throughout the day. And they, as auditions continue to pop in, even in the evening, I'll run down in the booth and just do an audition because, hey, that's a good one. That's a good fit for me. Run down the booth,
and you got to get in. You got to get in on a hurry. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
you got to be in the first.
And that's why
25.
I sit there and watch for those emails for VDC. I mean, I'm not too worried about it for 1, 2, 3 because the only thing I monitor on 1, 2, 3, and then what I've noticed, as long as I'm one of the ones before they're, because they'll want 25, 30, 40, 50 people auditioning.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Most times, majority of my auditions that I've submitted when I'm, one of the people under that number, I get listened to. I have more, so I'm not too concerned when I get it in. It's more so that I'm in that number. But voices.com is when I get it in. I try to be one of those first 10 people.
Yeah.
And if I'm 100% match, I might, audition for something if there's 15 to 25 people. But anything over that, and sometimes even around that 15, 20 mark, depending on what it is, I just won't audition if it's too many people. So I'm trying to always get voices.com in right away.
Yeah, it's a little more of a sliding scale when you're a 100% match. I might go a little higher in number if they're already there.
Right.
But you've got to be in the top 20, 25.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to add about this part? Because I want to go to part 2. I've got another subject.
Talking about motivating and self-starting, one thing I'm having to remotivate myself about is marketing.
Yep.
I tried the automated stuff that wasn't working for me very well. I'm glad that's working for you, Jake. That's fantastic.
I mean, it does to an extent. It's not like I'm getting stuff every day, but I mean, it's worked enough to the point where I've got, look, any kind of marketing, any response you get from your marketing is a positive response. And I've got enough responses over time that it makes it worth it. But I mean, if I have it automated and it's just out there adding new people every day kind of thing, I may not get a response all the time, but any kind of response I get from that is always a positive response. So if it's not taking away from my time, if it's not, and it doesn't because it's automated, if it doesn't take away from time I could spend doing something else, then I'm going to just keep letting it flow. You know what I mean?
Well, and I may let what I've got lined up continue to flow, but add to the top of that, going back to trying to do the personalized marketing where I'm Googling for production houses, Googling for e-learning creators, Googling for whoever might use voiceover from me that might be a good fit to work with. I want to find their website. I want to see what they're about. And I want to send them a personalized email.
Sure.
That says, I'd love to work with you. Here's what I do. If you're currently outsourcing your voiceover, consider doing that to me. Or if you're doing it in-house, here are the benefits that I can add of, doing it for you, frees you up to do more work, whatever it might be.
Yeah,
everyone
what's
take
difficult?
Note of that. That's something you can do.
You know what's difficult? Both things are right. It's a game of numbers. It's also a game of personalization.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little of both.
There's another classic example of what works for one person may not work for the other, and then everyone has different success.
Yeah, and in what we do, we're a commodity, but also we're a service.
Right.
At the same time.
Right.
So you have to have some personalized touch, and the people we work with want to have that personalized, communication with people they work with.
True. I believe that. I think once you've made contact, then you really try to get personalized in all of that. You know, it's where you're interested in what they do because, and et cetera. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, I've had people say, well, you should know, do they have a family? Do they have this? Do they have hobbies? No, you just need to know about the company and what they do and make sure it's a match. And then if you connect and they're open to talking to you, then then you'll build
and
that.
That's where you can get a little more like creative with what you're doing. That's where you keep up with the connecting part.
Yeah, there's a different, just human contact. You don't have to be real intimate. That's not necessary.
Yeah,
we're not going to start dating.
What's your favorite brand of undergarments?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Something
boxers
like the Elf movie for that someone special when he buys the.
Yeah, it won't be long. Be time to watch that again as time gets away.
Yeah. Round the
All
corner.
right, so we're going to completely change gears, and how we'll title this episode, I'm not sure. Today we had in the group, we had somebody that had posted their demo, and we have that a lot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And immediately you'll see 5 responses. I'm not talking about this one, and I'm not singling anybody out. That's not what this is about. This is about the overall thing of responding to people who put up their demo in the group. And it being in a small group. I'm not talking about in somebody else's major group or whatever. You may get those type responses. It may be a different level of demo being put up. But let's say you're fairly new. You finally got your demo. You put it up in the group, and the first 8 responses are, sounds great. Good job. Perfect. Way to go. You're not giving that person feedback.
Nope.
You're not helping them at all. You're just patting them on the back like their sister or their brother or their wife who said, yeah, sounds great, honey. And they don't really know if it sounds great. So I'm going to be, and I'm not usually harsh, and I don't want this to sound harsh, but I am honest and transparent, and I try to be always.
Yeah.
If you're new and somebody has put up a demo, you probably should let people who have been around a couple of 3 years answer first and see what they're saying about it first, because your thing of it sounds great, or I'm hearing this. Maybe, hang on and see what some of these, I won't say elders, but people that have been around a while and have an ear for it and are working and making money, and what they have to say first. The pats on the back and the greasing of the wheel doesn't help anybody. They need actual feedback that, hey, your third spot sounds a little stabby, a little reedy. You should be a little more conversational. 4 out of the 5 spots sound a lot alike. It sounds like the same tone, the same this or that. That music sounds like something they ripped off of a corporate narration and put it in a commercial spot. You'd never hear that on TV,
Right.
And, your audio is to this or that. Why is the audio so much louder than the music? And the thing is, when you're putting a demo out there, I really give people a ton of credit for even putting them up, because you don't know.
I agree. 100%.
Anybody, you're putting on a really brave face to do that. I mean, I always even hesitate now to, even when I've done a job, to post that job, because I feel somebody's going to hammer me. They're going to tell me, you sound like, you sound like this, or this sounds like that. And I don't need any more critical stuff, but if it's constructive, I want to know.
Yeah.
And that's what we're after when we post a demo. We need constructive feedback. Am I coached up enough? Where am I at? How does it sound? And that's what you're after. Please, if you're going to give feedback, truly sit and listen to every spot, make notes, and give good constructive feedback. It may be something as simple as, man, I tell you what, if you would change spot 3 to spot 1, that's your power read. Yeah. That's a killer demo. Something like that. Or even like I said on the other thing, I think the audio's too weak, or I think maybe they didn't EQ your voice properly, or blah, 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 blah. And believe me, I hear things no differently than some other people. My opinion may be different in what I'm going to say about it. And you can let 40 people listen to your demo, and you'll probably get 38 different opinions, probably. And then you've got to balance out from that what's good, bad, and ugly. The other thing, the last thing I'll say about this is that be sure you're ready to put it out as a demo versus putting out some samples. And we talked about this in another episode. There's a huge difference in demo and samples.
Yep.
If you come out and say it's a demo, it better be ready to go to agents, production houses. You better be ready to market that thing. It's not a demo is not something you just throw on your website and it's not great and you're directing people there and you're not helping yourself. Wait until you're ready. Wait until a coach says you're ready. They will tell you it's time for you to do a demo. You're ready. And you get professionally coached through that demo.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, Alden, what do you got?
Well, you should be willing to put your demos up for criticism. If you're not willing to put your demo up for criticism, you're not sending that demo to an agent. You're not sending that demo to a production house to consider you. If you can't have other voiceover talent say, here's what I'm hearing from you, and you're not willing to go that, you might want to reconsider voiceover as a career.
Right.
Because you've got to be tougher than that. You got to have the ability to take constructive criticism, let it hurt, and then fix the problem so that you get better. So for one, you have to be willing to post your demos and receive criticism. That said, don't post something every day. If you're new to this, hey, I got to know something else. Hey, here's something else. Well, you're going to start getting ignored by everybody else. And you're going to start getting those good job, because they didn't listen because you're posting every day, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
good point.
Those are the first thing that comes to mind. But yeah, you've got to understand that this is a journey. And Troy, you were talking about listening to an audition that didn't sound very good. I listened to stuff of mine from a year ago. I'm like, what was I doing? Why does it sound so bad? Because I'm better now. I've grown as a voiceover talent. Even though I was making money then, I'm making money now doing it. Yes, I made money when I was not as good as I am now. So understand when you post those demos, this is your first demo, it's okay not to be the best in the business. Right. Because you're just getting started.
Yeah.
And nobody expects your first demo to be, the top notch and you're going to start, competing for the top jobs. That we know that's not going to happen. You're going to start at the entry level. You're going to have a demo that's going to get you the entry level jobs. Right. At the same time, you've got to have, there is a standard of quality that you've got to meet at that entry level.
Otherwise you won't be taken seriously.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's got to sound recent. And I think that's a big thing. And I know the instruction I was given early on is every week redo one of those spots. Keep redoing it. You'll read it better. It'll sound better. You'll do this better. And it works out that way. All right, Jake, what do you got?
Well, look, don't get me wrong. Like, I love when people want to say great job and stuff like that. I mean, who doesn't, right? Like, it's nice to hear. But that being said, that's why you post it on like your personal page. You know what I mean? Like for your friends and family to be like, good job.
I'll just interrupt you.
Yeah.
I like to hear that too.
Sure. No,
but that's not satisfying enough. I want to hear what was great. What did I do that was good?
Yes.
So that I can keep doing that thing.
That's another good point.
That's what I was going to say is because like I'm going to tie this back into. No, it's okay. I'm going to tie this. Thunder. It's all good. I mean, like I whatever. It's fine. What I'm getting at is like it's great to hear that stuff, but I'm going to tie this to like when I do theater. Like I used to do community theater, and I'm not necessarily totally out of the game, but I'm far enough away from where I did it that I don't really do it that often at all, even if at all. But I used to not invite my friends and family. If they found out about it and they asked if they could come, I would say sure. But I did it for me, and I did it so. And then that way when I knew more people that didn't know me than did know me come to this thing, and let them come to tell me like that I what they liked about it. Because a lot of times when I don't know somebody, they'll come up if they feel like I did something in particular that they liked, they would come up and tell me that, right? Like what I'm getting at is like my goal is like I always want someone to tell me you should be posting your demo to find out what's wrong with it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like that there is something, there's always going to be something wrong with it, but like you want to know how it should be the best. If someone comes up to you and says, I really liked this spot, then maybe that spot should be featured first, depending on what it sounds like. Yeah, there is a rhyme or reason or whatever, but like posting your demo in a group like Troy's or something like that, you're posting it there so people can help you fix it if it needs to be fixed, what they like, where you can make changes, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Post it to your personal profile to get the pats on the back and stuff like that. Sure, I mean, like, pats on the back mean more coming from people that don't know you, to me anyway, than it does people that do know you. Because I automatically, even if they mean it wholeheartedly, it's always coming from, in my head, it's always coming from a biased place, you know?
Yeah.
They're your friends and family for a reason, and they're always going to support you, kind of thing.
Mom says I'm the best singer she's ever heard.
Exactly. Mom says this, and Mom's great. Mom's a great person to think that, and she should think that. But does that mean that what Mom's saying?
I hope she does.
Right? Does that mean that what Mom's saying is the truth? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Who's
it's her truth. She just loves her little.
It's her truth.
Yeah.
It's her truth.
All I'm getting at is like, kind of what you said. You should be willing to put yourself out there, and I can't remember how you phrased it, but like ultimately, like your goal. You got to have tough skin in this thing, because if you want to be good, you got to be able to hear the I don't want to say the bad or the negative, because it's not if you use it the right way. You got to be willing to take the stuff that maybe you're not hearing or maybe you're not realizing, and learn how to change it, want to change it, make it better to compete, because this is a super competitive industry. Yep. Like, there are so many good people out there, and even those good people out there they have jobs that they don't get because they lost it to somebody else who's good. You know what I mean? Like, and again, if you've been to conference, who's gooder? If you've been to conferences, if you're listening to, if you're going to meet so many of these people who are just great, but they lose. You got to understand too that they lose out on jobs too as well. Sure. You know what I mean? And that just goes to show you how competitive it is. So you got if you want to be competitive, you got to be willing to just be like, all right, I accept what I didn't do right, but I'm going to have that mentality to go and change it. And the way you learn those things is by putting yourself out there and getting the constructive criticism, and then taking that and using it to your advantage.
Yeah,
man,
exactly.
I'm ready for the second half, Troy.
Let's do it.
That's like a halftime pep talk right there.
To blow the whistle.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to go back and listen to this episode next time I have an audition for like a coach at halftime talking to them.
Yeah. Another thing you can do, if you've got associates that you can bounce your demo off of first before you go publicly, and listen to what they say, especially if they've been around a while or they're more seasoned. Find people that really have a good ear for this stuff, and they are out there. And some have a great ear for the reading and the performance, and some have a great ear for the production. And you find people who can help you like that. You talk about doing something where it went one way and then the other, and great and greater and good and gooder. About 2 years ago, I won a job through an agent, and my wonderful, wonderful friend JJ Wilson also auditioned. And he called me up and he said, well, I didn't hear back on that spot. I said, I did. I got it. And he said, I'm so happy for you. I hate you.
Yeah, I know, right?
And then about a year later, he called me up. He said, did you audition for the farmer's market spot last week? I said, I did. He said, I'm sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
Got it.
It went around. It went around. And guys, that's the way this is.
It's how it works.
You be proud and happy when you get it, but also be proud for your friends and your associates that get it. We're all out there fighting for work. I made a comment today to somebody. I said, this is the hardest I've ever had to work in my life for so little.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, I have the great thing of more free time, more flexibility, and all these other things that offset it. But when I'm here in this spot, I'm working my butt off. And that's what I was talking about in the ethics portion of this.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 1,000% for those 3 hours or 5 hours so I can get out of here for a couple hours. And then there are other days I may have to give 1,000% for 8 or 9 hours, maybe.
It's so volatile. I mean, like, you just never know.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are the same way, but it seems like when I wake up and I just don't feel it. I don't feel like doing the audition. I don't feel like getting into that mode because, for one, I wore myself out yesterday doing that. And now I got to get up and do it again. Maybe I didn't get any shortlists yesterday, or nobody listened. I did a list and nobody even listened to it. Once I get that first, I push myself and get that first audition done. Then I start to get on a roll, and it kind of goes into, I get into the groove. And sometimes it's, you just got to put it in gear.
I know we're still fairly new, all of us are, 3-4 years in. And I believe if you continue that mindset to send it and forget about it. And I know we're not totally there yet, and maybe we'll get there, but I think that relieves a lot of pressure. The less you worry about the listens and the short list and whatever, and then when the job comes, you go, "Oh, I got one," and just say, "Yeah, but how many did I not get?" No, you got one. Yeah, and keep pressing forward that way, and that's going to be a target for me next year in my mission statement and in my goals is stop looking at some of this stuff. Do your work. Do your work. Are you getting the payoff for the work you're doing? Well, they didn't listen. They didn't shortlist it. That really, if they don't book me, what does it matter?
Right.
Well, it really, I know what you're saying. It's a measure. It is a measure of success, and it makes us feel better. But on the other hand, if I'm booking and working and I'm hitting some of my other goals, I think that will take the pressure off of worrying about that other. And so as we start to do that and the income is coming up, and the income's coming up, and I'm booking a little more, and I got more direct stuff, and I'm not having to audition as much because I got more direct work. I don't have as much time. Then I get it where you don't worry about it as much.
Now consider this, that because I've communicated to you both this week as my week started. I have not been getting the short lists this week that I was getting a couple weeks ago. I had a great week a couple weeks ago, got a lot of short lists. This week, not so much. And pushing the same buttons felt like some of the auditions were even better. Like I've been having a pretty good week. Not getting the short list. I'm just not the voice necessarily that they're looking for. That's all. That's all there is to it. However, on 2 occasions in back-to-back days, Tuesday and yesterday, I got a message from the person that was listening to the audition. Said, "Hey, we ultimately went with a different talent, but we want to keep you in mind."
Yeah.
So they liked what they heard. They liked the performance. I just wasn't the voice the client had in their head.
Yeah, for that job. Right.
Auditioning is marketing.
Yes.
Auditioning is, you can't think of it as it's one chance to get one job. Oftentimes you're auditioning and you don't get that job, but you get onto a roster. So the other person that messaged me said, "We would like to have this." It was on voices.com and you can't download the demos. They said, "We would like to have your demo to show to our team, for future work." And I said, "That'd be great." So I sent them a link to download the demo. Didn't take them off to my, website, because BBC, voices.com doesn't like that. But anyway, so auditioning is marketing.
Yeah, and I just want to say this, and I did not coin this term, and I didn't. In fact, I heard it from Paul Schmidt. Personally, I think he's a great guy, and I think he's a very wise guy when it comes to not a wise guy, but I mean like a wise person. He's a wise guy. Yeah, but guys, there is so much work for voiceover people out there. There's more work now than there has ever been. Yeah, and not any one person can book it. Right. And that means you. Yeah. That means me. That means Troy. That means, is it Alden? Yeah.
That is correct.
Okay. That means
also,
us.
Earlier in the episode, well, I'll correct you later.
Okay, good deal. Sorry. But anybody, not any one of us, including you, including the elite, not any one person can book it all. Right. But what is true is that you have to go out there and find it, and there are so many different ways to do that. But if you don't get the job you're auditioning for, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're bad. It just means you weren't the right voice they were looking for. But consider this, when you do get a job, there's only one person can get the job, right?
Yep.
So that means that there's so many more people who didn't get the job. More people don't get the job than do get the job.
Oh my gosh,
yeah. So keep that in mind. And as easy as it is to get down on yourself if you don't get put on a short list, if you don't book something, for a while, It's harder but more respectable to realize that's okay. It's not me. I just wasn't the right voice, and there's nothing I can do about it. Let it go. On to the next one.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me kind of wrap this up by saying, don't let all these things that happen that will affect your mentality affect your work ethic going into the next day. Because now you come out of the day and it's like, I'm not getting any short list. I'm not getting listens. And like Alden, what's his name? Like he just said, you get up the next morning thinking, I don't really want to do auditions. I don't really want to do this. And then you'll go get on Facebook and scroll through and you'll look at the auditions. You're like, why should I? They don't like me anymore. So don't let it affect your ethic the next day. You've got to get up with the attitude that you're going to bust in there the next morning. You're going to come at it just as hard. You're going to give it everything you got. Don't let it get to your head. Be you, be authentic, read your specs, F your specs, whatever you want to do, and do your thing and keep after it. And if you are booking and getting work, here and there and doing what you're supposed to be doing, you are doing something right, or you wouldn't be getting that. Mm-hmm. And just don't let the negativity affect your ethic.
Right.
When you come into it the next morning. We want to encourage you, and in the same way when we're talking about demos, we want to be encouraging, whether it's on this podcast, on the VO Life group that I run. Yep. Happy for people to put stuff up. And happy for people to comment. I don't hardly ever go in there and police stuff or anything because, I want people to feel like they can come in there and freely talk and freely respond. But a pat on the back sometimes is not helping somebody.
Right.
And, and I'm not downing somebody for patting somebody on the back. It's not that. Well, you're saying I didn't listen and I didn't like. No, it's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that be sure if you're going to give the response, be sure you listen, be sure you give a good, earnest, honest, transparent response.
Provide some value if you can.
Exactly. And give them some highs or lows. Hey, this sounded good because this sounded bad because, and like we all talked about, just be honest, truthful, and help them out. And, and on the other hand, congrats for putting it up, because to step out there and do that takes a lot of cojones, I guess is the word.
Putting yourself out there for the public to judge you essentially takes some bravery, and not everybody does
it. Absolutely. And if you feel like you've put stuff together, samples or whatever, and you want to send them to some person, I would say any of the three of us would probably say, hey, send me a private message. I'll be glad to listen to it for you at times.
Why don't you send it to anothervopodcast@gmail.com?
Then we'll all three get it.
We'll all three get it. We'll look at it. We can give you our honest feedback. That way, if you don't feel like putting it out in the public first and you want to just keep it private, look, we'll tell you what we like. We'll tell you what we don't like. We'll tell you what we think you should do. And you can use that information for whatever you want to do. You don't have to take it. It's just thoughts and opinions. We're not the end-all be-all. Right. We're not the end-all be-all, but I would wager to say we've been in this for a decent amount of time now. We probably have something positive, something to give you that you can take and make a positive. You know what I mean?
Something constructive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, my vocabulary is just crap. If it's not written on a script, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Our job's to talk, not to think.
That's right. Now let's see.
Hey, I appreciate you guys coming on for this crazy conversation. We kind of, you'll do that. You'll find on podcast every now and then that happens. You'll bounce on about 3 or 4 different subjects, or it'll take you somewhere else. And a lot of times those are the most informative podcast you'll ever listen to, because you're getting a lot of tidbits of our daily experiences and what we're dealing with. And that's what this is about. We're trying to share what it's like to live this life. It's, even at the stage we're in, it's something else. It is. It's the best of whatever you could think on some sides, and it is the hardest on the other sides. Yeah. And we all try to put on that front that everything's wonderful and we're doing great and we're doing this and that's okay. But, we're all struggling a little bit, and it's okay to struggle, and it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to say, I'm not doing my work like I should. I need somebody to hit me in the mouth and push me and whatever. And that's what from episode 1, that's what accountability groups are for. You got to have that. You got to have somebody you can turn to keep that work ethic going, keep you strong. and keep you moving in your VO climb and your VO challenge. Guys, thanks for hanging this long. And I know we went a little longer than we normally do, but that's okay. We got a lot of stuff talked about. And we'll be back again a week from today, I'm sure, with even more of another VO podcast. So long.
Thanks.
Thanks for making it all the way through another VO podcast with Jake, Alden, and Troy. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at anothervopodcast@gmail.com. And be sure to like or comment on your podcast platform. We drop episodes every week and interview peers once a month also. If you have something you'd like to ask or topics in mind we need to discuss, let us know. Otherwise, we hope to see you next week right here on another VO podcast.